Happy Fight Song Friday, guys. What's up? Welcome in to a Friday episode of the Bostonian versus the Book. I am Matt Peralta. We are live on YouTube and on X, Twitter, whatever you call it, or even on Instagram today. We are replayed on Sports Grid Television, 10 p.m. Pacific time, 1 a.m. Eastern. You guys up late. Thank you for being with us. We'll get to a lot of cool things in the program today. Audio podcasts, wherever you guys get your audio podcasts, if you miss any part of the program. At the top of the show, Jeff Pearlman's going to join us, author of a new book on Tupac Shakur. Yes, two middle-aged white guys are going to be talking about Tupac Shakur in his life. Why? Well, a variety of reasons. One, it's an amazing topic. Two, it is really tied to Las Vegas, like really tied. One, he was killed here. Two, and we'll let Jeff tell the story, but he uncovered some incredible things in the book, in stories, songs written by Tupac Shakur about individuals that wound up living here in Las Vegas, which was incredible. Third, Dave loved Tupac. Dave loved Black culture. Dave loved rap music. Dave, one of the more cringeworthy things that Dave would do on this show was rap 90s and 2000 rap songs all the time. DJ Thump, who was here for many years, spinning records here in Las Vegas. Dave listened to DJ Thump all the time. Used to call into DJ Thump. Used to talk about DJ Thump. So, when this book came out, we had Jeff on the program back when he wrote the book about the Lakers. And I reached out to Jeff and said, this would be really fun to talk about the book. And now the book is doing extremely well. It is on the cusp of becoming a New York Times bestseller. And so we're going to talk about that here momentarily with Jeff Pearlman. Later in the program, Newby, his weekly chit chat with us. We're talking anything and everything NFL with Newby coming up. Dan Alexander in about 45 minutes. Stay tuned for that. It is a Fight Song Friday, so we'll get into the fight songs. We got big games in the college football ranks, including Missouri and Vanderbilt. Yeah, Missouri and Vanderbilt. All of a sudden, it's everyone's favorite matchup in the SEC coming up for this weekend. So we start the program. This is a different type of conversation, but our opening line on the life of Tupac Shakur. He is back on the Bostonian versus the Book, the one and only Jeff Pearlman joining us here on BBB. Jeff, good morning. How are you? Thanks for coming on.
Matt, I heard your talk about Dave, and I'm going to do something in his honor. I'm just going to say, this here's a tale for all the fellas. Try to do what those ladies tell us. Get shot down because you're overzealous. Play hard to get. Females get jealous. That was Bust a Move was the unofficial theme song for the Male Pack High School cross country team in 1989, and I own that shit.
How about that? Yeah, Dave is definitely looking down, loving that, man. That's tremendous. And like I said in the open, we're two middle-aged white guys about to talk about Tupac Shakur. So this is a little bit of a weird situation for all of us, but I love this story, and I've seen so many of the interviews that you have done. So I don't want to rehash and be sort of repetitive about everything, but I just, for the audience that doesn't know why you chose this topic as being a sports writer, how did you get to this 2.5 years ago to say, I want to write a book about Tupac?
It's funny because I was on another podcast and he reminded me that 10 years ago, he asked me what would be my dream book. And I said, Tupac. I didn't even remember that.
Wow.
I'm not just a guy who, I'm a sports writer. I understand that, but people have different interests, and I've been fascinated by Tupac for years. There's a book out there that I really wanted to read that I was waiting for someone to write. I always thought the writer Kevin Powell was going to do this Tupac book because on his website for 10 years, he literally had a thing, work on a Tupac Shakur biography. He's never did it. And I was like, someone has to write this book. And I understand on the one hand, I am an unorthodox source, being a white sports writer, not a hip hop writer. But on the other hand, I'm a journalist. I like calling people. I like talking to people. You can write a book about someone. I wrote about Walter Payton growing up in the Deep South in Columbia, Mississippi, desegregating the schools. I am not from the Deep South in Columbia, Mississippi. I wrote about Brett Favre growing up in the Kill, Mississippi as this kind of backwoods hunting kid. I'm not a backwoods hunting kid. Part of journalism, in a way, is shape-shifting and adjusting and learning and diving and probing. So obviously there were landmines on this one. And obviously you have to be very careful because he's not just a sports icon. He's a cultural icon. It's in a way a civil rights icon, certainly a Black empowerment icon. So he's not in a way my icon, but he was a hero of mine and a music hero of mine and impactful in my life. So I just went for it.
When you were writing it, or let me ask this, when you were pitching it, was there any pushback from people who said, wait a minute, are you the right one to be writing this?
My agent said, who's a great agent, he asked the right questions. He said, the question you have to answer is, why should a white sports writer do a Tupac biography? And I don't even know if my answer was very good, but my answer was, because I freaking love Tupac, because I think his story is amazing, because I think the detail. I'll tell you something I haven't said anywhere. Okay.
Okay.
And this actually, to me, speaks to it in the best possible way. It hit me this morning. So this is the first time I've actually discussed this. 2 years ago, a woman named Stacey Robinson, who is affiliated with the Shakur estate, released a book, a biography, the authorized biography of Tupac Shakur. Okay. Came out while I was working on this book. And honestly, I was kind of annoyed because, like, you're working on your own Tupac book. Here's another Tupac book. Well, that fucking sucks. And she did a good job. She did a very solid job. I'm taking nothing away from her. Okay. However, while working on this book, I went to Lumberton, North Carolina, which is where Tupac's mother, Afeni Shakur, is from. And I was on her abandoned lot where she used to live, the house where she owned, and she died 9 years ago. So no one has lived there since. There's this lot. And I was talking to the caretaker, and the caretaker said to me, do you want to see where Tupac is buried? And I was like, well, what do you mean? Because I always knew his ashes were let go on the Pacific. He goes, no. Afeni took some of his ashes, buried them on the yard here in Lumberton, and put up a grave. I'm like, well, holy shit, what? And he walks me over, and I'm literally standing above the tombstone of Tupac Shakur. Okay. Which is a crazy moment for me. I don't think anyone outside of a very small circle of people knew Tupac was buried here. Now, Stacey Robinson was working with the estate on this book, right? The estate owns the property. It's abandoned, but they own it. They certainly know that Tupac is buried there, right?
Yeah.
So they know that Tupac Shakur has a grave in Lumberton, North Carolina. That was not in the book issued by the estate. Why? Because for some reason, the estate didn't want people knowing that he's buried there. Maybe they didn't want the foot traffic. Maybe they didn't want, they own whatever the case. That's a difference between an estate biography and a non-estate biography. If you tell me Tupac fucking Shakur, the guy I'm writing about, is buried on an empty lot in Lumberton, North Carolina, there's no fucking way I'm not telling people about that and writing about that. Right. I don't have a vested interest in making money off of Tupac. He's not a cash cow for me. I don't get any royalties off of the t-shirt sales in Target and Walmart and everywhere else. I am a guy who's just curious, who wants to tell the history of him. And that, I thought of this morning. Really, I did. Difference between an estate issued biography and a real biography.
You talked about it yesterday about the hits for Lumberton, North Carolina on the Google searches exploding from this. As a guy who just told that story, who is talking about something that was unearthed while you were writing the book, what's that like to see the internet, or at least people around the globe, all of us go, where is Lumberton, North Carolina?
Well, first of all, I'm just saying, if the Lumberton Chamber of Commerce doesn't at least send me a hat or t-shirt, I'm going to be awfully pissed off, or maybe a mug or a keychain. I mean, come on now. I love that stuff. What I love even more is Brenda's Got a Baby. The uptick was huge. And I love that song so much. I don't even think it's a great, like, optically, it's very dated. It has that sort of old, almost like Curtis Blow the Brakes, where but the message of it's amazing. The writing of it's amazing. The storytelling is amazing. The conversion of a newspaper article to a hip hop song is amazing. So I love that. I have to think many, many people who have never heard the song Brenda's Got a Baby, including my mom, Joan Pearlman, who certainly never heard the song Brenda's Got a Baby, are now hearing the song Brenda's Got a Baby. To me, that's awesome.
Well, that is what I think is so interesting. And there's two parts of the Tupac story that obviously link back to Las Vegas. This is the first one because you were able to uncover Brendan's Got a Baby, the actual baby, here in Las Vegas. How did that story come to be? I know you've told it a bunch of times, but people who don't know this, you found the subject of that song living here in Las Vegas.
Well, first I want to say, as a guy from New York who grew up rooting for the Jets, even though you're wearing that shitty ass hat, I will tell you this. Okay.
This is an Eagles hat. That's an Eagles hat.
I'm aware what it is. Even though you're
Jets hat.
Shitty ass.
I'm a Patriot fan, and you were wearing a Red Sox hat yesterday at your book signing, and I thought you were wearing a Red Sox hat for me today. Now you're wearing a shitty Dodger hat. That's a shitty Dodger hat.
You're not even paying me to be on this show. Don't give me shit. Don't call out my hypocrisy. I'm a hat collector. Brenda's Got a Baby, great song. Important song in the Tupac catalog, his first big breakthrough. Tupac is filming the movie Juice in New York City. It's 1991. He's 19 years old, going on 20. And he reads an article in the New York Daily News, Cries in the Night, about a 12-year-old girl in the Noble Drew Ali public housing who was raped by a cousin, gives birth to the baby on the bathroom floor, takes a baby, puts it in a plastic bag, throws it down the trash heap. It's a day the trash compactor is supposed to go off. Someone hears a baby crying, says, "Is that a baby or a cat?" It was a baby. Pick up the baby, bring it to the hospital. That's the story. Tupac reads it, goes into his trailer, writes a song, "Brenda's Got a Baby," which is about that, loosely, but about that. Inspired. In fact, if you watch the video, it starts with "inspired by a true story." Well, that's the story. I wanted to find the baby. I thought that'd be really amazing, but unlikely. And I work with a genealogist named Michelle Sully from my hometown of Mahopac, New York. We graduated high school together.
Wow.
And I reached out to her and I was like, "I don't know." And she's like, "I don't know." But she looked around and she called me a few days later with a phone number. Guy's name was Davon Hodge. I reached out to him. It was him. We met in Vegas. He lives in Las Vegas. I was interviewing him. He was amazing. He was adopted after that happened. His family moved to Las Vegas. His parents died a few years ago. He does an ancestry.com search. All these tentacles come back to Brooklyn and the Noble Drew Ali public housing. He has this Antoine Fisher type reunion in Noble Drew Ali public housing, floor 3. Relatives and food and hugs and oh my God and oh my God. By the way, how do you feel about Tupac? I love Tupac. We think you're the baby and Brenda's got a baby. What?
You're the one who told him that.
What?
You're the one who told him that?
No. One of the relatives on his reunion.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So then he's telling me this story. And he hasn't seen his mom. Like his mom threw him down the trash heap. So I go back to Michelle and I'm like, it'd be amazing if we could find this mom. Michelle Sully is a wizard, the best genealogist you'll find in America. I truly believe that. A few days later, she's like, "I think I found someone." And she called the number. And basically, long story short, she said, "I'm working with this writer, Jeff Pearlman, about a Tupac Shakur book. By any chance, did you have a baby when you were 12 years old?" She's like, "Do you know where my baby is?" And she's like, "We do." She starts screaming and crying. "Oh my God, oh my God, I've been looking for my baby. I've been looking for my baby. Oh my God, oh my God." She goes, "I live in Newark, New Jersey, but I have to get back home." And Michelle said, "Well, where are you?" Or she said, "I'm at a Red Hot Chili Peppers concert." Said, "Where's the concert?" "It's in Las Vegas." Well, that's where Davon lived. And they met that night and reunited.
Have you talked to them since the book's come out?
Yeah. Well, Davon and I were on All the Smoke last week, the show, the Matt
Wow.
Barnes show. Worth watching. It was amazing. Davon is an awesome, awesome guy. I've not met his mother. There is a lot of trauma there.
Yeah.
And a lot of complications. His mom moved to Las Vegas and they're trying to sort of forge a relationship. But like your mom threw you down a trash heap. It's kind of a pretty heavy burden. You're a woman who was raped as a 12-year-old. That's a heavy burden. It's a lot of trauma I've not experienced in my life.
Wow, that is. So we go from that part of the story. Obviously, that's a major part of Las Vegas. To Tupac was shot and killed here. Even when I was promoting your appearance, I got people who told me that Tupac's alive. How much did you uncover with that, where people really do believe that Tupac was never murdered and he's still alive?
Well, do you want me to ask him? He's like literally right here. Hold on. One sec. Yo, Pac. Come on. He says no, not right now, but later. He's changing.
Okay.
Yeah, of course. He's alive. He's in Cuba. He's so-and-so. He's blah, blah. I'm like, okay. He's going to come back as a 54-year-old. Like he's been waiting till he's 54 to come back. And why did he vanish? Like, also like, it's utterly preposterous. I interviewed people who are in the hospital with him by his bedside.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So like he died. I interviewed the coroner. Like he died. I interviewed the cop who got to him. The first cop who got to him in Vegas. He died. He's dead. It's sad. It sucks. When I actually think about it, it really brings me down. Like I actually think about it and the sadness of this story, because it's profoundly sad across the board. Even the conspiracy about who shot him to me is pretty. It was a Mike Tyson Bruce Seldon fight, and Tupac's there. He loved Tyson. He wrote the entrance song, theme music for his entrance into the ring that night. Afterwards, Tupac and a bunch of death row guys are in the MGM Grand sort of lobby area. Tupac is with a guy named Trayvon Lane, who is a death row guy.
Mm-hmm.
Trayvon Lane spots Orlando Anderson, this Compton Southside Compton Crip, who had recently been in a fight with the Bloods and ripped off the neck Trayvon Lane's medallion. Trayvon Lane turns to Tupac and says, "That's the fucker who took my chain." Tupac's like, "Which guy?" "That guy right there." And Orlando Anderson was wearing a like triple XL Dan Marino Dolphins jersey. It's kind of weird 90s moment of the Iverson double XL jersey kind of stuff. Tupac walks up to him stupidly. Like Tupac was very impulsive throughout his life, very impulsive. It was not like, let me ponder the ramifications. He walks up, he says, "You from the South?" And he punches Orlando in the face. There's a video of it on YouTube. All the guys stomp him out. The death row guys stomp him out. They leave. I've interviewed a lot of people about this, including one of Orlando's closest friends, who also was a Compton Crip. And he said, like, basically, like, how is he going to come back to Compton having his ass publicly kicked by a rapper? It wasn't a gangbanger. It wasn't a drug dealer. It was a rapper. Like Tupac Shakur is a rapper, and he was a warrior, and he was an important figure, and he didn't take any shit, but he was a rap artist. And you're going to go back home having gotten your ass kicked by a rap artist. He said there's no way he could do that. Later that night, Orlando Anderson, his uncle Keefe D, two other guys affiliated with Compton Southside Crips, Southside Compton Crips, are driving around looking for Tupac. They can't see him anywhere. They go to Suge's Club 662 to scout him out. They're already gone. They're driving around, don't see him. Well, then, just by random happenstance, driving down the strip, there's Tupac Shakur leaning out of Suge Knight's BMW, kind of hollering at women. Hey, yo, there's Tupac. There's Tupac. Drive up on him, pull up aside, roll down the window, shoot him. Like all the conspiracy theories, all of this, all that, I just don't buy it. It just doesn't make sense that Puffy or Biggie or Suge had the wherewithal to place Orlando Anderson right there at that moment, make sure Tupac sees him, make sure Tupac doesn't have the impulse control to not punch him, make sure Tupac walks up and punches him, then make sure Tupac drives in the precise place at the precise time. Sometimes reality isn't sexy, but sometimes reality is real.
The court case that happened here in Vegas with Dwayne Davis, and this kind of brought it all back to life, that they have a guy arrested in connection with the murder for Tupac. What was, when you were going through the story, did it help that the police were bringing this back up again, that people were starting to make it more difficult?
Hated it. There's nothing worse when you're writing a book, especially about someone who's been long deceased, than new information coming up. It sucks. Just journalistically and structurally, it sucks. Because then you got to, like, you're basically like, it's like this. If you write about someone who's living, it's a stretchy object that keeps stretching. If you're writing about someone who's deceased, it's a hamburger, and you have a beginning, a middle, and an end. That's honestly how I think about it.
Okay.
So when something comes up and you think nothing is going to come up, it's like grease dripping out of the bottom of the hamburger that you have to sort of corral. I found it terribly annoying. I also, Keefe D has to be the dumbest human being on the planet. Like, the guy's literally bragging in his own book about his involvement in the death of Tupac. Like, yeah, that's a good idea, man. I'm glad you sold those books. Like, but you're going to prison. Just stupid, annoying, irksome. I hated it. Just being honest, I hated it.
I don't want to give away all the book because I think people need to go in and read it, but I just want to ask you about what you want the audience to take away from the book, and what you personally took away from the experience of writing the book about Tupac, because you did some crazy things. I mean, the story you told about walking the streets of Baltimore and not knowing where you were walking, and you're walking down some bad areas, and an old lady said, "Hey man, don't go down that road anymore." And you're like, "I just did." Like, in retrospect, you looking back, how did it impact your life?
First of all, there's a very thin line between stupid and savvy, and I cross that all the time. But here I sit. No, man, I said this last night. I did an event last night with Edie Amin, who is a former member of the Outlaws, Tupac's group. And I was like, if you're white in America, with some exception, you kind of have a charmed little thing going. Like, you just do, like, you're not worrying. I've never had a moment where I'm worried about the police following me, or I've never had to walk through a department store and the clerk is watching me, wondering if I'm going to steal a watch. I've never had someone throw the N-word at me. I've never had the preconceived notions. Like, I'm Jewish and I grew up in a pretty anti-Semitic area, but you can hide that. Like, it's hideable. It's not on your face. I think writing this book, there was a moment where I was interviewing his sister in New Orleans. I've talked about this, but Setra Shakur, who's awesome. And I asked her, what was it like moving from Baltimore to Marin City? And she goes, that's your white privilege. That right there, that's your white privilege. And I'm like, what do you mean? She goes, we didn't move. We were relocated. There's a huge difference. And I was like, first of all, it punched me in the gut. Like I was like,
Right.
fuck. But then the second thing was, fucking yeah, man. Thanks for saying that. Like I need to hear these things. We all need to hear these things. And like the other thing is like just the route and journey of his mother, Feni Shakur, the Black Panther 21 trial, knowing how courageous she was, knowing like everything you learn about the Black Panthers as a white person in this country, 98% of it is utter bullshit. It's they were terrorists, they hate white people, they wanted to kill you. Like it's bullshit, man. The Black Panthers are actually kind of amazing. And what they did was amazing. And the fight and the oomph and everything they put into it, lunch programs, protecting their people, education programs, on and on and on, just absolutely amazing. So, of all the books I've written, for my personal betterment, this one by far has to be number one because it just opened my eyes. And I've always been a liberal guy. I studied civil rights in college. You know, I've written about a lot of Black athletes. I've chronicled civil rights era movements involving sports, but nothing has impacted me like this book. Nothing at all.
The book is available on Amazon. Only God Can Judge Me: The Many Lives of Tupac Shakur. Have we gotten across the finish line yet? Or are we into the New York Times bestseller? Are we close? Like where are
I don't
we?
know, but I can tell you, I would ask your listeners if they're willing to buy the book on either Barnes and Noble or something else because Amazon has run out of books.
Uh-oh.
And they will have more books shortly, but your measure is through Saturday. To get on the New York Times list, you need through Saturday.
Okay.
So right now, Barnes and Noble ran out, which is a good problem, but a shitty problem because everyone automatically goes to Amazon. Visit your local bookstore, order Barnes and Noble, whatever. But man, this is how I make a living. I always say that.
Yeah.
Everything else I do is just gravy. This is how I make a living. And I put more into this book than any book I've ever worked on in my life. It was more torture, more joy, more high, more low. It's the hardest book I've ever done.
Well, I think the early returns are tremendous, and the storytelling is absolutely beautiful. So I want to thank you for coming on. I hope we get you across the finish line. I hope people go and buy the book. Old school, go buy a hardcover copy of a book that you actually can physically hold. And I know the response has been really nice from both sides, but from the African-American community, from the white sports fan community. I think everybody has a story about Tupac and how a song impacted them at some point in time, especially people our age. So congratulations on it. Thank you for coming on. Really appreciate your time. And I cannot wait to see what you do next.
I'll just say two things real quick. Number one, I actually wish Dave was here to talk about this because I know.
Hey, man.
And
yes.
Number two, I don't think a Tupac book has ever been as heavily promoted on sports media than this one. I have relied on the kindness of people like yourself and a million different people from Rich Eisen to Jim Rome, on and on and on. And they've been wonderful in the reception. I feel like I've been embraced by my brethren of this industry I've been in for, many, many years. It's very much appreciated.
Look, storytelling is storytelling, right?
Yeah.
And I think you talked about it in the open about the books you've written and places you've gone to tell the stories of Brett Favre or other people in terms of their background. I think all of us as sports people have musical love. And for so many people, Tupac was part of that. I mean, I graduated high school in 1995, graduated college in 1999. Like Tupac's murder was impactful for me. I mean, I remember going, oh my gosh, he's not that much older than I am. And he got shot in Las Vegas. It's, I think that's why this story resonates with so many people in the sports world, because we all have a love of music. And this story, I mean, this guy was taken away too soon. Like he was such an impactful figure, and still to this day. I mean, look at the holograms they're putting up for Tupac, and people were like, is that really him? So I think that's I think that's why you're being embraced by this, because this topic is so universal for so many people.
I mean, I'll say two things. I'll let you go, or let me go. Number one, I'm shocked that you mentioned you graduated college and yet you're wearing that hat. And number two, I also think there's something to be said. I really do, that I've learned along the way. Like, if you treat people kindly, much better. If you treat people kindly, oh my God.
as a New Yorker, I'll give you that. If you want it, I'll give you the Celtics. I'll give you the championship if you want.
I walked into that. But I do think number two, like sincerely, like I've just made a lot of really good relationships through the years with people. And I do believe like it's a lesson for younger journalists. Like if you treat people with respect and decency and you're just I really try hard to like everyone in this field, like we're all in the same boat, whether you're writing for the weekly newspaper with 300 readers or you're writing books or whatever, like we're on the same boat of trying to maintain and survive in a very tough industry. So to me, like if you treat people well, people will actually remember you and be nice to you as well. And I feel like I've been getting a lot of the reciprocation, just a lot of kind people like yourself being willing to talk about Tupac when it's an out of the box topic. And I really sincerely, despite both of your hats, appreciate it.
Jeff, thank you for the time. We'll talk soon. All right.
All right. Take care.
That is Jeff Pearlman joining us here on the Bostonian versus the book. Great to get him on the program, talking everything about Tupac Shakur. If you guys haven't read the book or haven't seen it, I would highly recommend checking it out. It is available, like you mentioned, Barnes & Noble. This is the Amazon ad, or the Amazon link, but you guys can go and get it wherever you guys get your books. Local bookstores. I am a big supporter of local bookstores. So if you have one in your area and you can buy the book there, I would buy the book there. As Jeff said, he's trying to get on the New York Times bestseller list. And he's like 11th right now. So he's so close. And I think for a lot of people who grew up in the time frame that I grew up in, remember Tupac Shakur, remember what the music made. And I wasn't the biggest of Tupac fans. I mean, I was an East Coast guy. So the East Coast, West Coast rivalry growing up, I tended to go towards the Biggie side of things. I was on the Biggie Small side. I was on, that, even though I wasn't as big. I mean, Dave and I used to talk all the time about his love of rap music and Biggie and what it meant to him as a high schooler growing up. And I'm so happy that Jeff said that he was so sad that Dave wasn't there to talk, because when I reached out to Jeff, that's what I said. I said, look, this is not really a natural interview for a sports betting show, but due to the fact that Dave used to come on here and rap, and he embraced Black culture so much, and the way Dave dressed all the time, like he was such a big supporter of rap music and loved it so much more. And I liked it. Dave loved it. So I said to Jeff, I said, would you be willing to come on the program as you go through this book tour? And he was like, absolutely. This is the time. Here's my availability. And I was really excited, because he's done some really big shows. I mean, he's gone on some huge platforms, and I've been talking with him back and forth and DMing with him, some different stories about what's been going on. And, there's been some stories that I've told him about what's been going on with my family and some things that have impacted. And Jeff has been willing to put some controversial things out there about what was happening in Los Angeles, and just to tell some stories about what was happening and what he was seeing personally. And so I commended him for doing that, because it's not the safest place in the world right now in America to come out here and talk about these things, in particular when you're trying to sell books and trying to be there. So that was just, clap from phenomenal. And yes, read the story, read the book. And I didn't want to rehash all the other stories that he has told, but he tells a crazy story in the book about walking in the inner city of Baltimore. And if you guys know Baltimore, everyone thinks like the inner harbor for Baltimore, but like just outside the inner harbor in Baltimore is incredibly dangerous. Like it is one of the toughest neighborhoods, toughest places in America to grow up. And that's where Tupac grew up. And so he walked all throughout at night. He was walking around gang territory. Jeff, he's 53. I'm 48. Like, we're both Northeastern white guys. Like, we kind of know not to go down those areas. And he did. And I mean, just a straight, incredible conversation, incredible stories that he was able to uncover because he was willing to go and do that. And I don't know how his wife and daughters feel about that, but, he did it. So huge thank you to Jeff Pearlman, and really check out the book. If you are interested at all, check it out. And if you can buy it today or tomorrow, it could help him get on the New York Times bestseller list. So huge thank you to Jeff Pearlman for coming on. Let's talk about what happened last night. All right. If you are a Viking fan, I don't know where you go. I mean, the Vikings got smoked last night by the Chargers, and JJ McCarthy looks like he's going to play this coming week for the Vikings, but that was awful. I mean, the offensive line couldn't do anything. As somebody with a bad shoulder, I felt for Carson Wentz last night with how many times he was sacked, how many times he got hit. They couldn't do anything offensively. We somehow got the over on that last field goal that the Chargers kicked inexplicably. So we'll take it. But that game, if you were a Viking fan, you have to come away from that game so just disappointed that you had a season. You let Sam Darnold go because it was JJ McCarthy's team. And while JJ McCarthy is getting ready to play, and we have a lot of football left to go this season, you look at the lack of a running game, you look at the lack of an offensive line, you look at the lack of a defense that you thought that was going to be decent under Brian Flores, because it started the year off pretty well. There's not a lot of positive things going on right now with the Vikings. There's not a lot of things that make you go, yep, that's good. that team's going to be one to be reckoned with, given the division, given the Lions, given the Packers, given even the Bears, right? I mean, you look at the division and you go, you can make a case that the Vikings are the worst team in the division. And Kevin O'Connell, there was such hype about Kevin O'Connell going into the season about how good he was going to be. And, he's the one who chose JJ McCarthy. They let Sam Darnold go even after the great year that Sam Darnold had. And look what Sam Darnold is doing with the Seahawks. So I think that's huge from a Sam Darnold career arc. It's not just about Kevin O'Connell, because that's what everybody thought, right? Everyone said, oh, it's Sam Darnold sucked with the Jets, and now he's with a real coach, and so it's Kevin O'Connell, it's not Sam Darnold. Well, he's with a defensive-minded head coach in Seattle, and Sam Darnold's doing great things with the Seahawks, while J.J. McCarthy and this offense can't get out of their own way, and they've got big problems going forward. So if JJ can't play in 10 days when they play again, or even if he does play in 10 days when they play again, and he's ineffective, because according to some people who have been watching the Vikings closely, the JJ McCarthy situation, he has been eligible and he's been healthy enough to play for a couple of weeks now. But Kevin O'Connell was more comfortable with Carson Wentz than they were with JJ, and he was with JJ McCarthy, which is a huge problem given the fact that they chose JJ McCarthy over Sam Darnold. So was that a mistake? Maybe that was a mistake. And I think there's a lot of questions going forward as to what exactly the Vikings are going to look like going forward. All right, game one of the World Series is tonight. The Dodgers against the Blue Jays. It's in Toronto. Dodgers are favored. Blake Snell goes to the mound tonight. I don't know what to do with this series. I got to be honest. And as a bettor, you're looking for angles, okay? And I'll tell you that I would lean towards taking the Dodgers on the run line tonight in game one. But if the Blue Jays are going to be in this series, if the Blue Jays are going to push the Dodgers, they will win game one. And could they win tonight? Absolutely, they could win tonight. Now, they got a kid who's making the youngest pitcher ever to start in a World Series game up against Ohtani in this Dodger lineup. Good luck. But could the Blue Jays win a, 6-4 baseball game? Yes, 100%. It does feel like it is correlated with the Blue Jays in the over and the Dodgers in the under. So if the Dodgers win this game, it's probably like a 4-2 baseball game or a 3-1 baseball game, and maybe you take the Dodgers on the run line tonight. Blake Snell has been ridiculous. Nearly double-digit strikeouts in all 3 games he's pitched in the playoffs so far. And the starting pitching for the Dodgers has been so good that they have not had to worry about the bullpen. If somehow the Blue Jays can get into that bullpen for the Dodgers, they can make this a series. But can they get past Blake Snell? Can they get past Yamamoto? Can they get past Ohtani? Can they get past Glasnow? The Brewers couldn't. Now, I'm not, again, comparing the Brewers to the Blue Jays, because the Blue Jays lineup is way better. This is a top 5 in terms of investment, salaried baseball team. Bottom 10 for the Brewers. Totally different situation. The Brewers got there in some ways through magic, smoke and mirrors, and that's why they got swept by the Dodgers. 7-game series for Toronto up against the Mariners, but there is some real trends. The last 3 teams that went to 7 games and then turned around and played a team that had swept in their championship series, the team that went to game 7 won the last 3 World Series. So are the Dodgers going to be rusty? It's possible. It's 100% possible. I think there's going to be some issues here for the Blue Jays up against this starting staff, just like against the Brewers. But you've got bigger bats. And Bo Bichette coming back and playing is big. You have another great offensive weapon to go ahead and put in that lineup for the Blue Jays. Now, he hasn't played in a while, so let's see how he fares being, on the shelf for as long as Bo Bichette's been on the shelf. To go from the regular season to the World Series, not all that easy to do. I mean, you're getting in there, midstream here, but it's big to have him back, if nothing less, just from a psychological standpoint, to have Bo Bichette back in this lineup. For the Blue Jays, I just really have a tough time thinking that the Blue Jays are going to win this series. That's why we watch, right? Am I watching this game tonight? Absolutely. It's the World Series. Of course I'm watching this game tonight. Of course I'm interested in this game. Of course I'm interested in this series. I just don't know how I bet it yet. I don't see a betting opportunity. I don't see a window where I'm like, yep, I'm firing on that. So even though obviously everybody wants to have action, everybody wants to have action on the World Series. Everybody wants to, to bet it. Over, I guess, would be probably the only thing I look at. Maybe I'll do something in game, but pre-flop, pre-game, I don't know. I don't have anything at the moment where I'm like, yes, I'm firing on this for the World Series. There are some prop bets I think you can get into. I think Ohtani over 1.5 total bases. I think, Blake Snell has been a strikeout machine. You can do some things with the strikeouts, 7.5, 8.5 strikeouts is not probably horrible for Blake Snell. Probably gets 8 or 9 strikeouts today. Team total for the Dodgers, you could probably play it over 3.5 if you want. I did some things on the Daily Juice where I pulled all those numbers down and did a same game parlay if you want. I don't really like to do same game parlays, but I think there's some opportunities with that Dodger pitching staff and the Dodger offense. Ohtani could go 0 for 4 and burn me, which is possible. But given what Ohtani did in game 4 and the fact that Ohtani is going to be facing a young kid here for the Blue Jays, who's really good, but a right-handed pitcher facing Ohtani in the World Series, I would expect something of a magical night for Ohtani at the plate. It's just what the guy does. It's the World Series. It's Ohtani. And people have been questioning and wondering, are they going to be rusty? Well, my gut tells me that the Blue Jays are going to have to worry about Ohtani. So I like him having a big night tonight for Toronto. Sorry, for the Dodgers against Toronto. I would expect Toronto to win game 1, but I'm not betting it. And if the Blue Jays want any shot of winning this World Series and shocking everybody, you better win tonight. You absolutely better win tonight. Time for Fight Song Friday. All right, I got to admit, I'm not in love with this card on Saturday. And in fact, I'm not in love with anything over the weekend. We have a UFC card coming up tomorrow night, tomorrow afternoon. It's over in Abu Dhabi that I'm going to watch. As of right now, I'm not betting it. I'm not jumping up and down with it. But there are a couple of games. There's 3 games in which ranked teams will face off in college football. That's it. We don't have like a gigantic screaming, this is the game of the weekend type of environment. There's a couple of decent ones, but there's nothing that's making me go like, oh my gosh, get me in front of my TV set on Saturday to watch this game. Now, that's oftentimes when chaos happens in college football. When we're not expecting it, when we're expecting easy W's, we're expecting top 5 teams, top 10 teams to roll. Oftentimes we don't get that. It doesn't happen. But there are some games, there are some decent matchups to talk about here this coming weekend. And it really starts with Oklahoma. So number 8, Ole Miss is on the road at number 13, Oklahoma. This number has ticked up to 5.5 for the Sooners. And what's interesting about this matchup, to me at least, is that the conversations about Lane Kiffin going to Florida haven't been that loud since the firing of Billy Napier. And so if you are Lane Kiffin and his daughter wants him to stay at Ole Miss, there's about $100 million to $150 million difference between the athletic departments in Oxford versus Gainesville. They're not on the same level. So I think if the folks in Gainesville want to back up the Brinks truck to go get Lane Kiffin, they can go and do so, but they may not. And they may go a different direction, or maybe Lane is comfortable building what he's got at Ole Miss, and the commitment from the administration and the boosters is going to be good enough that his family wants to stick around. They like being in Oxford, and they don't want to go to Florida, where the expectations are going to be different. I mean, at USC in Tennessee, the expectations were to win a national championship. Like, Lane kind of fell his way to Ole Miss, right? He didn't he came in as sort of like a savior, and he's built them back up here to be this top 10 program. Lane Kiffin can stay in Oxford for probably as long as Lane Kiffin wants to stay in Oxford. If Lane Kiffin goes to Florida, the expectation is you're going to win a national championship within 4 years. They're going to pay you to win a national championship within 4 years. Recruiting is different, obviously. Jackson Dart and what he's doing in the NFL only helps Lane Kiffin going forward with Ole Miss. So I don't know how much of the quote distraction angle I would play here on this. And Oklahoma's defense is really, really good. Okay. But so is the Ole Miss offense. And I don't like what we've seen. I watched Oklahoma and Michigan closely. I watched the Red River, quarterback injury, fine. I just think you take the points here. I'm surprised that Oklahoma is favored by 5.5. I'm surprised the number has climbed from 5 to 5.5. My gut tells me that this gets to 6, and then the money comes in on Ole Miss. That would be my personal take on this game. Is I think it winds up being Ole Miss plus 6 being the right side. Oklahoma might win the game, but I'll take the dog in the points for Ole Miss to go into a very hostile environment in Norman, Oklahoma, and keep that game pretty darn close and maybe even win the game outright. LSU at home up against Texas A&M as a top 5 team comes into Baton Rouge. It is a difficult place to play. LSU plays much better at home. Obviously, you have an A&M team that still people are sleeping on. A&M's the best team in the SEC. The best team I've seen. I've watched a bunch of their games, and I'm very impressed with Mike Elko's team. The question I've got from an LSU perspective is whether or not they can stomach another loss for Brian Kelly at home. Like, is he coaching for his job tomorrow night? Is he coaching where if he loses this game, LSU fires Brian Kelly? Because things have gone so bad this year for LSU. And Garrett Nussmeier comes back to college, and everybody thought this is going to be, including me, right? I mean, I had LSU going 9-3 in the preseason, but I thought that those 3 losses might get them into a fringe conversation to get in to the college football playoff. That has not happened. That has not happened. Look at CBW. I agree. It's a huge buyout, but we just saw they can find the money. They can find the money. LSU, if they need the money, they can find the money. Penn State found the money. To me, LSU can't find the money if they need to find the money to fire Brian Kelly? Yeah. Do I think they may do it mid-season? Yes, I think it's possible. And yes, Chef Benny, I've talked about this. I think this is a huge opportunity for him to go to Penn State. I think that's a perfect match. I think it's a perfect match. I've seen this ish before. People saying James Franklin's going to wind up at LSU. Oh, no. I cannot. No. You cannot replace Brian Kelly with James Franklin. I would be stunned if that were to happen. Stunned if they go that route. You have to have serious ties to be accepted in the SEC. I mean, look at what Kalen DeBoer is going through at Alabama. Okay. Kalen DeBoer takes Washington to a national championship game performance. Okay. Kalen DeBoer does amazing things. But Kalen DeBoer is still not really accepted by Bama and Bama fans. They're still looking at him going like, yeah, you're kind of part of us, but you're not really part of us. You can't go James Franklin at LSU. Can't happen. But I think A&M's winning that football game. I'll take A&M. I wasn't able to do a fight song for Missouri or Vandy. I apologize. I got sidetracked. It was too difficult. We'll put it on. If Vandy keeps on winning, we got to go get Vandy. It's like the 40s. The Vanderbilt's a top 10 team in college football. I love Diego Pavia. I love everything going on at Vanderbilt. I love it all. I think Missouri wins the game. I'm going to say Missouri runs the ball down Vandy's throat. Missouri's going to do to Vandy what Vandy did to Alabama. And I hope I'm wrong, okay? I'm not sure I'm betting it yet, okay? I'm not sure I'm actually betting this number, but I think Missouri wins the game. I think Missouri loses to Bama at home, and they go to Vandy, and they beat Vandy at Vandy. And I know it's a little crazy, but like this is where Vanderbilt normally is a dog in this game. Vandy is not normally favored in this game, but it's only 2.5. Shouldn't it be higher? Doesn't that tell you something about Missouri's running attack? I over in the game, don't mind it, Chef Benny. Don't mind it at all. Coming up on that. But Missouri's live. Missouri is 100% live to win this game outright with their running attack. And just going into Vanderbilt, it's, again, not that hostile of an environment. No offense, Vandy. It's Nashville. I like Missouri. I like Missouri in that game. And one more for a fight song product. It is the fight song for Alabama. They're on the road at South Carolina. Upset alert. Sounder. Upset alert. Look out. Lenore Sellers in South Carolina are going to beat Alabama. I'm telling you right now, I've seen this story too many times. No one's talking about this game. No one is talking about South Carolina. Everyone thinks Alabama. This is the game that Bama loses every year now under Kellen DeBoer. They don't lose to ranked teams. On the road, they lose to the unranked team that they're not supposed to lose to. I like Ty Simpson a lot. Okay, I do. But I think this South Carolina team, I was there. It was a bunch of years ago, but I was there when Bama was ranked in the top 3. And Dennis Francione took his team too cocky and got blasted. Okay. Seen it. Saw all the kids rush the field. I saw it all. Okay. This is a problem. Give me the 12 points. I'm taking South Carolina. I will bet this South Carolina plus 12, but I would sprinkle money line a little bit on this. Okay. And come Monday, we might be having this conversation about what Beamer just did by winning at home. Okay. This is the game that I am the most interested to watch. I cannot wait to watch this one. We don't have an upset alert stinger. No, we have a breaking news stinger. We don't have an upset alert stinger. Maybe we need to incorporate one of those. Maybe we'll go find an upset. So from there, we go to our weekly conversation with the one and only Newby. How are you, sir? Good to see you. How are you? How was the week?
I felt like Dave heading on to this show because I saw you were wearing the Eagles hat, and I was like, I know I don't have any Patriot stuff in this house. I know I don't. So the closest I could get is my Lacrosse Network hat that is Patriots color. So I saw you repping the Birds. I was like, I have to come on here with Patriot stuff because I'm guessing, you see this number on the Eagles and you're thinking, hey, maybe they blow out the Giants here a little bit. I see this number on the Patriots and I'm thinking, is that Cleveland defense really as good as everyone says? Their pass defense certainly isn't as good as everyone says. I'm liking New England this week, so New England colors heading on here for you.
That's funny. I think it's a teaser special for both games. I think you tease the Eagles down.
Certainly, no, you tease the Patriots. That's why we're wearing the hats.
Yeah, you tease the Eagles down, you tease the Patriots down, and there's your 2-leg teaser on the week. That's the play I would make. I gotta admit, I think taking the Browns plus the points is a good play.
I mean, it's not a terrible play, but I don't see. If Drake May keeps playing the way that Drake May is playing, and yes, I know that defense is good. The pass rush is great, but really on deep balls, they're pretty exploitable. And Drake May is throwing a really nice deep ball right now. I mean,
100%.
So yeah, would I lay the 7? Maybe that's a little bit trepidatious, but if you're alive in Survivor, if the Patriots didn't still have the Jets on their schedule, this would be the Patriots spot for me because I'm pretty confident in them beating this team because I don't think Dylan Gabriel goes on the road into New England and beats them outright with how they're playing. But I get you. That defense is good enough at Cleveland to make it a dicey proposition. That back door wide open. I just don't know if Gabriel's the guy who would take advantage of that back door swinging open.
Action Network put this out that makes me go, uh-oh. So since 2018, teams who are on a 4+ game straight up and ATS streak, it didn't make the playoffs the week before. Since 2022, they are 1-14-1 against the number. 1-14-1.
That's so pretty bad.
it's a little bit of the fat and happy syndrome where you were expected to be bad, and now you've won 3 games in a row. Patriots have won 3 road games in a row and covered, and now they're coming back home to take on a Browns team that, look, the Browns they're fat and happy too. They just beat up on the Dolphins, but that was at home. But their season is still far from where it needs to be. The Patriots are being talked about as a 1 seed in the AFC. So I'm a little concerned about them winning by 10 points.
I get that, but Vrabel doesn't strike me as a fat and happy guy. Like Vrabel's an ankle biter kind of guy. Vrabel's I want to bite the kneecaps like Dan Campbell kind of guy. So I get it. Everything in the, but here's something that I wanted to touch upon with you, Matt, is just the lines this week. You go up and down the board, and there's so many 7.5 point favorites. You see 14.5 with the Indianapolis Colts. The Indianapolis Colts, oh my God. This feels like the FU special board. It's like, congrats on winning last week, public. Yeah, you did a good job. You absolutely nailed us. FU, all the favorites you want, you got the hook on them. You want a line that truly should be 5.5, you're getting 6.5. So
it's a great point.
This is the bookmaker special FU landmine board of the season, in my opinion.
I agree with you. And I think you have to be, because you stare at numbers same way I stare at numbers, you have to be a little bit kind of taken aback by the number of games that do not have 3 and under lines. They're all 3.5. They're all 4. I mean, numbers that you would expect to be 3 or 4, numbers that you expect to be 6.5 or 7.5.
Yep.
Like I'm with you. You got to be really careful betting favorites this week because there are 6 teams on buys. Like you have 6 buys this week. And so we don't have that. And there's no international game and there's not 2 Monday Night Football games. So we had the game on Thursday night last night. That was a complete disaster for the Vikings. But now we go into Sunday and look, the marquee matchup is what? Like, what's the best game on the board? Eagles, Giants, the Cowboys,
Dallas.
Denver, Dallas. Like, what's the best game of the weekend? There's not any. It sucks.
Yeah, no, it's a real crappy board, and the lines kind of indicate that. And then there's even like some ones that just feel like pure bait. Like, who is Houston? I get it, they're at home, but to be a favorite against a surging 49ers team after what we saw, that offensive line, the offensive coordinator is even worse than the offensive line in Houston. So that one screams to high hell. But how has it not flipped? You know what I mean? The fact that the odds makers are saying we're not going to allow you to get Houston up in a teaser, that kind of starts ringing off the bells in my head. But as far as betting this week, I think you're spot on. I mean, I love the Daily Juice show that you do. I have a feeling there will be a hell of a lot of teaser talk on the Sunday edition. Because how do you bet this board without moving the line 6 points in either direction? I really don't. I don't see anything that stands out. Here's a straight bet that I really like. Like, I think this is going to be a murderer's row week for the Pick 5 contest, like Millions and the Super contest. I think this is going to be an absolute murder week because even if you get the right side, typically in the NFL, you find the right side, you get the cover. This board stinks to high hell that you're going to have favorites that win but don't cover, and then dogs that you think are live, like a Dallas, like a Pittsburgh, who just aren't even going to come close.
How about Tampa and New Orleans? So you have a divisional game. You have Baker Mayfield admitting he hates the Saints. He came out, he called the Saints dirty yesterday. So he hates them. The number is 4.5 at the rec books, but 3.5 at the pro books. So what, like, there's a big discrepancy here between what this number should be between 4.5 and 3.5. You could arbitrate if you want and bet either side, but I don't know what to do with that game because it looks to me, I would say, okay, I want Baker Mayfield. But do I want to lay 4.5 points? No. Do I lay 3.5 points? I might want to wait till 3, maybe lay 3. But without Mike Evans, who knows? Maybe it's a Spencer Rattler special in the Saints pull one off at home.
Yeah. So for me, I mean, for all intents and purposes, are we really that worried about the difference between 3.5 and 4.5? Yes, a point matters, but when you're talking around that spread, you're really, and then it's funny because, like you said, the rec books are all, we're 4.5. You know, the sharp books, super books, circa, they're hanging 3.5, and then Pinnacle just splits the difference, and the notable offshore says we'll go 4. So I would expect that the whole market will eventually at least move to 4, if that's any indicator, but The Bucs have owned this matchup, 7-0 ATS run against the Saints. So they're not only beating them, they're covering against this team. And for me, this is one that actually is going to end up on the Circa card for me. And we're laying the 3.5 with the Bucs. Like, I get it that they're banged up. I get it that they're limping in. And that also trend where it's like, after you play the Lions, you get beat up on because they're so physical. And then you don't play them the next. Like, that would all be true and worry me if this team didn't have a bye next week. And typically, you know, Barney at the bar, they're always like, hey, team coming off a bye, they're well rested. That's what I want to play on. This is one of those teams and one of those situations where having a bye to look forward to could actually be the better motivator than sitting on your couch for a week, because this is a team, again, who's banged up. You're trying to find who your wide receivers are, but let's look at how Tez Johnson's playing right now. Like, it's not like the second, third, fourth stringers aren't playing very well for this Bucs team. And Baker Mayfield, people want to throw dirt on him. You know, the team stayed in that game against the Lions largely due to their defense, but that final score wasn't indicative to how tight of a game that was. And this is just a rally the troops kind of moment. It's a team who, under Todd Bowles and really in recent history, when they have a bye to look forward to, they play really well. 4-1 against the spread in games before the bye week is this Bucs team. I actually really like this spot. I don't think it's a Spencer Rattler special. I've found my spots to cash on the Saints. I think this is, if the Bucs were coming in fat and happy off a win against the Lions, this is a Saints spot. This is a don't worry about the number. I think Bucs win this by a touchdown, maybe 2 touchdowns.
I know you got to run at the top of the hour, so I want to get this game in before, because it's a big one. It's Green Bay on the road against Pittsburgh, obviously Sunday night. Brett Favre says he wants to retire as a Packer. I'm not sure the Packers really want Brett Favre around. I mean, excuse me, not Brett Favre. Wow, confusing.
Either of them.
Quarterbacks. Either of them.
Yeah,
Aaron Rodgers.
Both of them are weird. One of them likes nude pictures. The other one likes ayahuasca. Take your pick.
So yes, Aaron Rodgers wants to retire as a Packer. What do you make of this number? Because everyone's running with the narrative. Tomlin is a home dog. It's Tomlin is a home dog. Okay, but Jordan Love and the Packers offense has been pretty good.
They have been really good. And yeah, that's like one of those trends that gets so loud that doesn't really matter. And also, let's be real, like the same trends that we like throwing out here because it makes our bets sound good, like the books know about them as well. I think an interesting subset of that whole Tomlin, as a dog, is Tomlin off a loss. Tomlin off a loss as a division favorite, 9-2 against the number. That's one that goes a little bit because the Tomlin is a dog, that's reigning very large. Like, oh my God. But you have a whole career to draw on. And some of these trends, they're just funny. They're fun to talk about or whatever. But when you have such a large pool of data like you have with Mike Tomlin's career, here's one that I think is louder than anything for a dog. And that's why I'm on the Steelers +3. That's actually going to be one of our Circa picks as well. I don't care if it's the square dog of the week. It doesn't even worry me a little bit, because not only is it the dog trend, you also have a bounce back spot where a defense who typically is strong gave up so many points. 29, 11, and 2 against the spread is Mike Tomlin after his team gave up 30 points or more in a game. So our team just got embarrassed. We just lost. We bounced back. Leave the points at the door, Matt, because that same trend is 32-10 straight up. Steelers outright. Spare me the Rodgers revenge stuff. I don't care about Rodgers in this game. This is all about Mike Tomlin. Steelers are getting the win Sunday Night Football.
Yeah, to back you up, 12-3 against the spread as a home dog off of a straight up loss the week before. So when the Steelers lose, they come back home cooking, they get right, they feel comfortable and confident. I'm with you. I know you got to run.
They got Matt. Any other show can wait. I'm with the great Matt Perrault. Any other show can wait. But no, I'm
respectful of time. When people tell me you got hard outs, I want to make sure you get.
But always, Matt. Let's be real. Take the over. In division loss too, and they're coming off Thursday Night Football. They get a quasi bye, and Tomlin's also good off a bye. It's not a true bye, but it's a quasi bye since they lost on Thursday Night Football.
I'm with you. Rodgers against the Packers. I mean, I think it's going to be a very interesting matchup for sure, but I'm with you with the points. Give me 3. Tomlin home dog. Yes. Square dog. Who cares?
Go Pats. Go Eagles.
Take care, my friend. Appreciate you. That is the one and only Newby joining us here on the Bostonian versus the Book. Great to get him on the program every Friday. We get him on talking everything sports and everything related here going on with us. Okay, if you guys are watching the program live, you know what happens next. We go into bonus time. We have just the picks. We have plays, picks, thoughts, and more to come at you guys. If you're watching on the replay on Sports Grid TV, thank you for being here. Thank you to Newby for coming in. Thank you to Jeff Pearlman for being a part of the program. On a Fright Song Friday, we head off into bonus time for those of you guys who are live and listening on and watching on the replay. Fired the wrong stinger. Sorry. That's what ends up happening. There's the bonus time stinger. Welcome to bonus time here. I it's funny. At some point, I think I'll probably get this sponsored because you guys love the bonus time. It's when the show is. It's what really makes the show the show. I think it's like I love doing show, but now we get into sort of like the sideshow, the different type of show of BVB. So good stuff with Newby. Appreciate him coming on the program and giving us 10 minutes. He'll join us every Friday here on the program. We were going to talk about Disneyland, but we didn't have time to talk about Disneyland. We just talked football coming up with that. I played it too early, but let's do some picks. Yeah. You want the No, we're going to leave the Brigade Proxy Service stinger just, there. So we froze there a little bit. I saw that too. I saw a freeze. So I apologize for that. Let's get to the picks coming out here for tonight. Celtics are down to 3.5. I got 5.5 last night. I don't think Carl Anthony Towns is playing tonight. The number move, the move to the Celtics tells me that Carl Anthony Towns is not going to play tonight. Somebody in the pre-chat said over under on the number of times that I mentioned the Starting Five show on Netflix. Just saying, after watching what Jaylen Brown said about the Knicks and calling them insufferable, the fans suck, and that everything that happened, he said, he was asked, how did they lose to the Knicks last year? And he literally said, I have no idea. He's like, I have no idea how we lost to the Knicks. That Boston has had this, and this is the return of, to the scene of the crime where Jason Tatum ruptured his Achilles. Boston lost that game. They went home in game 5. They blew out the Knicks in game 5, and then they got blown out in game 6 in the Eastern Conference Finals. So this is a, semifinals. Sorry, not the finals. So semifinals. This is a really interesting night tonight for Boston because it's Jaylen Brown. Boston blew an 11-point lead in the fourth quarter to Philly. They gave up 42 points in the fourth quarter to Philadelphia, and they allowed a rookie to score 34 points against them. Joe Mazzulla went bonkers after that game. Like, Joe Mazzulla is furious at what happened here. I'll take the Celtics. I got 5.5. It's 3.5 now. I hate the CLV situation going on with this, but I'll take the Celtics. The Spurs are on the road against New Orleans Pelicans. Look, until the numbers get more situated, take New Orleans. I was way impressed. Not just Wembanyama being a 7'5" freak, but the surrounding cast is better than I thought it was going to be. Castle was great in the opener up against the Mavericks. I mean, Luke Cornett, former Celtic, he's going to play big minutes for those guys off the bench, coming in and just adding some more depth for that team. They got good guard play. Zion, okay, he had 27-9, I think, in the opening loss to Memphis for New Orleans. Give me New Orleans. Give me the Spurs. I'll lay the 3 points. Only one possession. Big win on the road tonight for San Antonio. Let's see them open up 2-0, and the Wembanyama MVP talk starts to get really loud early in the season with the way he played. Spurs -3. On to tomorrow. Iowa State against BYU. Iowa State, everything's going wrong, right? They're off a bye. Back-to-back losses. Iowa State can't score. Iowa State's this. Iowa State's that. BYU is rolling. Why is Iowa State favored? Why is Iowa State favored? Why are they favored? Seen this story before. This is an Iowa State opportunity to resurrect their season. This is a tough environment for BYU to go walk into. Iowa State's at home. Give me the Cyclones. I'll lay the 2.5. I like the Cyclones to come in, get a W here on Saturday. I've already told you about South Carolina and Alabama. I'll take the 12 points with South Carolina. I think there's an upset watch at play here for Alabama on the road against South Carolina. I like Ty Simpson, but Lenora Sellers and company, this is the game that Alabama struggles. This is the game where they don't get the blowout win. This is the game where they do show a little bit of a crack in the armor. Give me the Gamecocks. South Carolina plus 12 up against Alabama. To the NFL, we're going Dallas and Denver. I want 3.5, but I'm taking Dallas. I think the offense, I'm just not trusting Bo Nix, even against a really bad defense for the Dallas Cowboys. I think we see this offense for the Cowboys move the football and score. Jackson Dart ripped apart that defense last week by throwing to the tight ends. Jake Ferguson's going to have a game here unless Denver fixes what happened last week. And even if they do, there's 2 wide receivers you got to worry about with CeeDee Lamb and George Pickens. I know this no-fly zone type of thing going on for Denver. Not buying it here. I think the Cowboys win the game outright. I think Dallas gets a big win on the road against Denver. Denver got extraordinarily lucky last week. I don't think the rabbit foot works this week for the Broncos. I'm taking Dallas money line, but here we go with Denver with Dallas plus 3.5 on the road against Denver. And you guys want teasers? Here's your teaser. You could do a 3-legger, throw the Eagles in there too. Okay. Eagles, Patriots, and the Steelers. Okay. Pull the Eagles down to 1.5, Patriots down to -1, Pittsburgh from 3 up to 9. There's your 3-leg teaser if you want for the week. This is a teaser-rific week in the NFL. This is a really hard week to bet favorites. Okay. Just going to say this. I don't know if the Patriots cover. I'm not sure the Eagles cover. I'm not sure that anyone who's laying 7-8 points is somebody, it has me comfortable to go, yep, let's go ahead and lay this. If you want a 2-legger, Patriots, Steelers, Peralt, Sherapan, teaser special for this weekend. Okay. Sunday night, 1:00 kick. Pats are at home. I'll be in New England. No, I won't. Not this weekend. Next weekend, I'll be in New England. Not this weekend. Next week, I'll be in New England. But I won't be there on Sunday. I'm coming back Saturday night. That's right. So I won't be there for the Patriots game next week, but I will be here tomorrow. On Sunday, I'll be here. But Patriots, Steelers, jumping in. And then you can go a 3-legger. I'll have a 3-legger going. Patriots, Steelers, Eagles, 3-leg teaser. But then also do a 2-legger as well. Patriots, Steelers. Think that's probably the better play. Patriots, Steelers. I think the Steelers can win the game outright. I really do. So there is a day off. Tuesday, Sonic. Tuesday, we're off for travel. I'm traveling back. I have to go see 1, Amanda, and then 2, I have to go and get my shoulder looked at by my surgeon. So we're going to do a little update, a little progression on how my pectoral repair is going. It's tough. I don't care about that. Dallas hasn't beaten Denver at home since 1995. So what? Take 3.5. Denver can win the game by 3. Dallas covers. But I think Dallas wins the game, but I'll take the points in case I'm wrong about that. I don't see Denver winning the game by touchdown. Again, I'm not huge on Bo Nix. I'm just, the Giants kind of handed that game to the Broncos. You had Brian Burns going into the locker room in the hallway screaming about the game plan in front of the referees, in front of the media, rather. That's cool. He knows what's going on. It's coordinated on all of this. So it's not like it's a, he's like, oh my gosh, the media was around. Like he knew the media was around on this. You know what I forgot to play? Oh, that's too bad. I got all sidetracked. Hold on a second. I forgot to play a couple things. Because we can talk about this together on this as to how we hold on, where is this? Because this is pretty. I think was this today? I think this is. Let's see when this loads. What you guys think of this? Because this is, is this right? Hold on. That is our new news of the industry stinger for us here with the one and only my cat. which I think is absolutely hysterical. How do you guys feel about that? That is our new stinger for the news of the industry. News of the industry. Okay, we like it. We like that with Marshmallow. We like that. There is a Newby stinger. I didn't play it, but because we don't know what we're going to call it yet. But there is a Newby stinger here. This is the Newby stinger. If we call it to Newby or not to Newby.
Newby, or not Newby.
It's all a work in progress, right? So I don't know what to do yet. If we're calling it that, that'll be the stinger to bring on Newby. I forgot to play it last week. So I again, I don't know what we're going to call the segment with Newby so we'll come up with it. It's still a work in progress, but that is one. Sonic has been in the lab pulling things up for that. But news of the industry, the fallout from yesterday continues to be wild. So, I didn't highlight anything because I feel like we're just sort of being hit over the head at the moment with people who are not educated enough in the sports betting space to be commenting about sports betting. For instance, Mike Florio claiming that prop betting is going to be made illegal in his lifetime. No, it is not. People from the political side of things, like Chuck Todd, coming in and saying if the leagues are really concerned about integrity, that they should ban all prop betting, that they should tell their partners to ban all prop betting. Again, wrong, ill-informed, just not accurate. Okay. Those things are not happening. No one is banning prop betting. No one would ever drive that business offshore faster. It's not happening. So the knee-jerk reaction from yesterday is incredible. Like just incredible. And there is a whole lot of pearl clutching going on at the moment about all of this. Okay. I would just remind everybody that the majority of that story yesterday had to do with poker, not sports betting. There's a sports betting component to it, obviously. There's an insider information situation going on. There's a problem when we have coaches and assistant coaches telling gamblers before the public as to what's going on with players like LeBron James and Damian Lillard. That's a problem, okay? There's no debating that. But I'm not worried. Like I've seen the headlines like the NBA is rocked by a scandal. Well, I think they're rocked because of the poker stuff with Chauncey Billups. He's a head coach. We've known about Terry Rozier for 18 months. This is not new for us to talk about Terry Rozier and what the federal government was investigating him for. Now, the NBA, they never officially cleared Terry Rozier, but they let it be known that Terry Rozier was not going to be facing any discipline from the league, from their own internal investigation. Now, was that because the feds told them to do that to make Rozier feel comfortable and maybe go back to the scene of the crime, if you will? Or maybe they had his house bugged or his car tracked or something, and they wanted to see if he was going to meet up with anybody from the crime family he was working with. Again, this is the mafia. This is a mafia story, not a sports betting story. And I think people are just completely, conflating the two. And so to me, as we go forward with this is why legalization is good. We have watchdogs. We have companies who are watching the markets. We have companies that are flagging things that are happening, So I'm a little bit on the frustrated side about what happened yesterday because while it is a huge story, we did the whole show on it yesterday. But the people who don't talk about this every day, the people that don't have a working understanding of what the sports gambling world looked like before the repeal of PASPA and now afterwards, the amount of overreaction that we have seen and the people who are all angry about all of this, like I don't have a lot of time for people that are just jumping into this story now. Like, have you been talking about this the whole time? Like, have you been involved in the story in talking about legalization and talking about licensing and talking about what was going to happen from a growth perspective? And, whether or not advertising needs to continue. And I'm not against some reeling in of what has happened. I've said it before. You want to get rid of micro betting? I'm down with that. Go ahead and get rid of it. I'm cool with that. The stuff that Class A got in trouble with the Cleveland Guardians, you want to eliminate that stuff? I'm in. Like, go ahead, take it away. I'm fine with that. But you aren't eliminating prop betting. On top of the fact that there's a big problem. If you look at what actually a prop bet is, a prop bet is not just how many points someone's going to score. A goal in the first 10 minutes is a prop bet in hockey. Who's winning after the first quarter is a prop bet in college football and the NFL. That's prop betting. You're going to take away that? No, you're not. No, you're not. You're not taking away any of that. So just stop with this whole idea that we're going to somehow get rid of everything, And frankly, sports gambling in general is addictive. But so is drinking. So is smoking. So is working out. So is food. Is Charles Barkley on Ozempic because Charles doesn't have a problem with food? He does. It's clear. It's obvious. So he's now taking a drug to counteract the addiction that he has. And now Charles Barkley's thin. Will he stay thin? I don't know. I don't know what the whole Ozempic craze as to how does it work long-term, right? I have no clue. I am disappointed at some of the comments that we have seen in the wake of yesterday, but I'm not surprised at some of the comments that we have seen in the wake of yesterday. So I like adults to be able to do adult things. Okay. And I have been long on that point. And alcohol, cannabis, mushrooms, psilocybin, gambling, sports betting. These are all things that adults should be able to do. I don't think kids should ever be able to do it. And I'm going to recognize that as humans, we have people who are going to be hurt by all of those things being legal. But cars kill people every day. I'm not into getting rid of cars. Okay. Planes crash, kill people all the time. I don't want to get rid of plane travel. As humans, things happen, right? Bad things happen. You make a conscious choice to go and gamble. You make a conscious choice to take a drink. You make a conscious choice to go and smoke or eat an edible or whatever it might be. I want you to have that choice. I want you as a human being. I want you as an American to have that decision be made by you, not by the government, not by anybody else. You personally have a chance to make that. And if the product that is being sold to you is dangerous, then we should have some policing of that, right? And if you are someone who is addicted and you are gambling your life savings or your wife's money, or you're robbing people to get money to gamble and all this stuff, right? There needs to be, the platforms need to be, need to have things in place to prevent you from betting. And they should not be taking your money the same way an alcoholic person who is drunk at the bar has to be cut off, right? Same thing. It's the same principle. And I'm okay with that because it's one or two people, of the, say, for every 100 people that are out there, there's 4, 5, 6 people who have problems. I'm not going to stop the other 95 people from doing it, but we need to get the 5 people who are in trouble help. And we can't be, preying upon them. So I feel like there's a lot of people who are being opportunistic here with this topic who don't have a real good grasp of where we are in the sports betting world, because anything you make illegal in the legal in the legal market, you're going to wind up having a pretty big problem because it's just going to go offshore. Sorry, if you saw me just jump right there, that was my phone ringing in my ear. It scared the holy hell out of me. So sorry, that was freaky. Favorite thing about today is what? Favorite thing about today, Jeff Pearlman. If you did not watch that interview, I highly recommend you go and watch it because that was awesome. Jeff told some really cool stories about the book on Tupac Shakur, talked a lot about Las Vegas and the connections with Tupac in Vegas. It's why I want to have him on. And Jeff rapped. Jeff Pearlman came on and did a live rap like he was Dave. It was awesome. It was easily my favorite thing about today. If you've not checked it out, I highly recommend you guys go ahead and go and do so for that. Thank you for being here. We'll recap it all coming up on Monday. No show Tuesday, but we are back on Monday to recap it all coming up here on the show. If you've not liked this, if you've not subscribed to this YouTube channel, please do so. Same thing on the X Twitter account. Subscribe, follow, hit like, retweet, tell somebody about the show. I got a lot of work going on this weekend. I hope to have some more information about hats and t-shirts and stuff coming up next week. So I know I've been saying that over and over again, but I'm efforting this weekend. I got some time set aside to really try to dive deep into all of that and get that rolling. So more information hopefully coming up for that next week. Have an awesome weekend. I'll talk to you on Monday for another episode of the Bostonian versus the Book.